What's up, narrators? This is Mo. I'm back with another narrators per possession vlog. It's been a minute, but I want to get a vlog out to share a story. This is a celebratory story about the Boston Celtics and their passing. If you watched my my second episode of the Narrators per Possession podcast with Mike Zakarian, there's a phrase that I mentioned and it resonated with me in my head, and I thought it'd be a cool vlog to actually go and like add some visual context to what I mentioned. Um, Add visual context to support what I mentioned when I said I really like the Boston Celtics, the geometry of their passing right now. And so I'm just going to run through a few clips and talk about how I'm seeing that. And this is um, I suppose a phenomenon of what I've seen since the Boston Celtics have completed all of their 2026 trade deadline moves. So this is now a roster that has Nikola Vucevic. It has the return of Jason Tatum. And maybe these are things that the Celtics have been doing all season. But if nothing else, I want to at least again celebrate that and just point out some cool things I'm seeing when I look at the Boston Celtics offense right now. For context, how am I picking out some of these examples I'm going to share? I always like to sort of bring context and open source this in a certain way. So I was looking at the Boston Celtics shooting data out in NBA.com. I feel like NBA.com is really a truly underappreciated analytics source. I mean, it's plenty of platforms, right? But honestly, for anybody who's not like super into having a bunch of subscriptions, NBA.com is solid with a lot of these things. So I'm just going to the Celtics team stats page. Looked at their shooting data there, and what I paid attention to is what is the distribution of the Boston Celtics in terms of the amount of field goals they're making that are assisted. And what you will find is the overwhelming majority of the Boston Celtics assisted field goals this season. They're coming from what NBA.com simply refers to as jump shots. So um, I looked at a bunch of these clips today as I'm recording on Easter Sunday, 2026. To all those observe, happy Easter. Uh, and here's what I'm gonna walk through. It's just like I think a bunch of cool clips where the Celtics, you see this geometry about how they're going about finding great open looks within their offense, whether it be in the half court and even in some situations transition opportunities. But with this first clip, um, Jaylen Brown and Nikola Vucevic just get into a real straightforward pick and roll situation, but Vuce is usually pick and pop, and that's exactly what he gets. And this will set that stage of when I'm talking about the geometry of the passing. I just see the Celtics passing the ball where there are these like cool uses of angles or manipulating the space with angles to find ways that, in my opinion, get the ball into an open shooter or just get the ball to the right place while still like the offense is maintaining its flow, is still in stride. And you saw that with Jaylen Brown, where he's able to come off the Vooch screen and really hit Vooch with a cool pick and pop in the sense that it's not like it's a straight side by side pocket pass, but he's able to get him with that backwards bounce pass. Next example I have here, we have Jaylen Brown again. He's off the dribble from the corner, and this is another example of finding an open Derek White with that nice angle pass. And I thought what was good about this possession in particular was you see Nimi Keita take the defender with him to really give Jaylen Brown that space for that wide open pass. Um, just cool chemistry, cool continuity from the Celtics in that possession. This possession here, we have fast break materializing here. Sam Hauser gets the ball. He finds Baylor Shireman, who's able to take advantage of, unfortunately, Kobe White getting lost in transition defense, not seeing him behind him, and more or less back cutting Kobe White, although it wasn't a straight cut, but in a similar sort of vein of just basically back picking Kobe to get to that slot and then hit that open catch and shoot three. Just great work in Sam Hauser, you know, seeing Shireman on the opposite side, manipulating Kobe White as a defender and creating great open look for Baylor Shireman. Next clip here, we have Peyton Pritchard finding Shireman this time out of the corner, and he's able to find trailing Derek White. Quasi paint touch, you might say. He wasn't exactly in the paint, but sort of in the same spirit of being able to find Derek White off of 2 feet. Good pass by him. In this clip, we have Jason Tatum almost semi-ghost screen, but able to curl off a screen, dive to the rim, find an open Sam Hauser in the corner by really manipulating the help defense. It was good as soon as you saw Tatum coming off the screen, and then just diving. He's instantly recognizing that help defense that's coming, and knowing that he's able to short roll pass to Hauser to get that nice corner three. This clip here, we have Jaylen Brown working a ball screen, and then I like that pass a lot, actually. Manipulating his defender off the dribble, getting into the paint. Just a nice floater kind of pass to Tatum, who, and I mentioned this in the Mike Zakarian episode, right? Like Jason Tatum, since he's come back from his his Achilles injury, he's been like just incredibly decisive with his playmaking, and certainly in these clips, but from the film I've watched of Tatum since he's returned, there's such a decisiveness in his playmaking right now, whether it be him primarily being the ball handler or doing a lot of these hockey assists where he's able to find Derek White in that slot, and it all gets initiated again from just a very in stride flow of the game pass from Jaylen Brown, where he's taking his guy off the dribble, able to just use his dribble and his handle to create the space he needs to get in position to make that kind of pass to Jason Tatum. There just seems to be an underlying theme and chemistry that this Boston Celtics roster has about how they're moving the ball. And just thinking out loud for a second, it's slightly different. I know I mentioned this to Mike as well. It seems slightly different from the 5-out nature of how the Celtics were functioning in their title run in 24, right? Where, it was 5-out and a lot, I suppose side pick and rolls or what ball screens they could get out of that 5-out offense, and just a lot of 3-point volume. This seems like just a different sort of aesthetic this season, where the Celtics are generating their threes, to me, in my opinion, much more off of motion and much more off of movement than explicitly like just 5-out spacing. Let's see. We have this clip here where Tatum, again, just like that bounce pass, just to be able to like take a step back and just hit that bounce pass instantly, finding Derek White to then do that 45 cut. I think Jason Tatum's playmaking, there's been something about his downtime where I see Jason Tatum going into next season being a pretty prolific passer and playmaker in ways we haven't seen him before. I think Jason Tatum's traditionally known for a lot of his mid-range, a lot of his fadeaways in the past, although he's balanced that, obviously. He's much more of a consistent downhill threat. But I do like a lot of the playmaking that I've seen from Jason Tatum so far in his return. And I think that just can't be shouted out enough that you're seeing these decisive moves from Jason Tatum, where there's not a lot of hesitation and there's not a lot of deliberation. Boom, just perfect bounce pass on that angle that gets a cutting Derek White, 2 points at the rim. A couple more clips here. We've got Jaylen Brown, and this is the Celtics against Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs. To me, a lot of savvy, both ball and player movement. Obviously, understanding the sort of defensive challenges that Victor Wembanyama poses. Jaylen Brown gets that ball off of a dribble handoff from Luka Garza. Knows he's got Wemby in front of him. Quickly manipulates De'Aaron Fox to get the ball to Derek White, and White's able to just continue moving the ball, obviously keeping it out of the gigantic wingspan of Wemby. And that pass, really, when we're talking about the angles, just the flow of that pass, and then Derek White himself to then flow a pass where he's able to find this time Luka Garza in the slot. And a lot of credit to Luka Garza, because there's been so much slander about him and his game translating from the Big Ten as a college. He's a very dominant college player to the NBA, but he's really found his way, at least in the second unit for the Celtics this season. Same game again. This time we have Derek White. He's got Wemby on him as the on-ball defender. Continues to manipulate Wemby. Gets the ball to Garza. Garza then is doing this pitch to Jaylen Brown. And then you really, beauty of Jaylen Brown, he knows when he can go cook, and he goes and challenges Wemby right at the rim. And these passes, I just think with everything that's going on in the East right now, and you have, a potential extended absence for the Detroit Pistons with Cade Cunningham, and the Celtics really just being surprisingly dominant for this whole season, but you're seeing this sort of ball movement right now for the Celtics. I think this is something that, going into the 2026 NBA playoffs, like, I'm going to be definitely patiently looking and keenly observing how effective can the Celtics be in a 7-game series, and can they really assert themselves with this sort of ball movement, and is there what sort of defensive wrinkles would an opponent start to throw at the Celtics to really take them out of this sort of flow and this sort of continuity, because it's obviously something that's a strength for the Celtics right now. And then last clip that I'll wrap with here. Let's see. You have Tatum again. So Tatum on the ball. He calls for a ball screen from Nemi Keita. Gets that ball screen. Turning up from that screen. Another Shireman slot catch and shoot three. And just, again, the decisiveness and just the ability of whether it be Tatum or Jaylen Brown, but also you see that sort of mindset cascading into the guys you would consider to be the Celtics role players. I hesitate to even say Derek White, because he's leveled up tremendously this season, where he's definitely more than a role player, but I mean, he's a star in his own right. But you see how it's impacting the Derek Whites, the Sam Hausers on this roster. There is a chemistry and really a tight system cohesion right now in the way the Celtics are moving the ball that I think really needs a lot of attention, needs accolades, and be on the lookout for that when the Celtics get into the playoffs. I think they're going to be dangerous with this sort of offensive attack. So that's all I got for this vlog. Please subscribe, comment on this video. Please keep rocking with us on Narratives Per Possession, where we connect you to better basketball narratives.